Good morning, everyone. My name is Heather Hoops Matthews. It's a pleasure to be back with you today. I am here in McClellanville, and with me, I hope you are seeing Casey Watson, who is in Myrtle Beach. We are part of the NP strategy team, which is based out of 8 offices throughout North and South Carolina. Casey working out of the Myrtle Beach office, and I am technically working out of the Charleston office, though, as many of you, not right now. This coaching session is following a webinar that we did last week for the Myrtle Beach Area Chamber of Commerce, and we had great participation and so grateful for that. And so we decided to do 4 weeks of free coaching sessions every Monday morning starting at 10:30. And the webinar, what we talked about were the 4 things that we think you can be doing now that will also help you when we begin to emerge, which I am hopeful a couple of more weeks of pressing on, and we are going to start to see the light at the end of the tunnel. And if you're a runner, you know when you can see the finish line, it's so encouraging. And so what we talked about were 4 things: reaching in, reaching out, retooling, and reinforcing by giving back. And so we're going to end up discussing those later today. But I thought for this coaching session, what we do is that we would kick it off with a couple of creative things that we have seen over the past couple of weeks, talk through those, and then give you a to-do list, some things that we think you can be doing now that won't cost you a lot of money, maybe no money, but will help you stay out there, stay engaged, and be able to press on. So let's get started. I am going to share, and we are going to watch 2 videos that were shared online this week. Okay, this first one is by Luck Stone. It was shared on April Fool's Day, April 1st. And I thought that they did a really good job of having their own employees clearly shoot this with their own iPhones and send a very important message. Now, Luck Stone makes gravel, rock, other materials that you might use in construction.
We remain committed.
Not only to the health and safety of our associates,
but also to the lives of the people we touch every day.
Our customers and each of you in our communities.
We are thinking about you.
We hope you and your loved ones are safe and healthy.
During this challenging time, we are proud to support our customers
by continuing to provide the materials that they need
to build, maintain, and repair
the roads and bridges that carry our first responders to emergencies.
Doctors and nurses to the front lines.
Trucks full of supplies to distribution centers and grocery stores.
Never before have we been called upon to live our safety culture and our values so deeply.
We are ready.
Because we've always believed
that every person has unlimited potential and can have a positive impact
in their workplace,
in their community,
in their home.
And when we look back on this time, we want to remember that we showed up for our customers, our community, for each other.
My name is Ron, and Stone is just a start.
My name is Bobby, and Stone is just
My name is Andy, and Stone is just a start.
And Stone is just a start.
My name is Natalie.
My name is Richard.
Okay, I am going to pause that there so we can talk through it. Now, what did they do? They had one core message that they wanted to get out, which is, you know, we are going to show up, and we're going to be here for the community and here for our customers. And they are what's deemed clearly an essential business, and so they are staying open and they are operating. They're in a couple of states. They have a facility here in South Carolina. And so they got, I'm assuming, I don't work on this client, but other team members do, but they got each of their team members to probably say a portion of a message or maybe the entire message, and they edited it together. It shows you a number of things: the diversity of their team, the different skills, where they are. Some are at home, some are still at work, just like maybe many of your companies. Not everybody can go into the office right now, but some have to. And then they put it together into what ends up being not too long, a little long, but not too long, of a message. Now, the second one that I want you to see is Harvest Hope Food Bank. And this is a food bank that covers 20 counties in South Carolina. So it's a food bank, but it's a logistics company in that they are getting food out to Greenville, to the PD, and to the Midlands, in addition to serving people who actually come to their site. So you're going to see a video with their board chairwoman, who was shot last week, and I think they also do a great job of just setting the scene for what they're doing.
So you need get 4 for that next van. My name is Erin Rowe, and I'm the board chair here at Harvest Hope Food Bank.
Good morning.
We have moved our logistics operation from the inside to the outside. We want to make sure we're incorporating our social distancing, but we still need to feed the over 2,000 people that we've seen come through the past 48 hours. I've seen so much gratitude. It's heartwarming. When I drove up this morning, my heart dropped because the line literally stretched from here all the way past the train tracks, and it can be overwhelming, but the gratitude of the people that I see coming through the lines makes it worthwhile.
Being on Social Security, and that's it. It makes all the difference in the world.
The demand has increased, but it is only going to increase over the next couple weeks and months, so we definitely need all of the help and support we can get right now.
You're welcome.
Please join us today in helping feed our communities across the state of South Carolina. You can go to Harvest Hope to donate, or you can drop off canned goods, and we really appreciate the effort that our community is giving to us right now.
Okay, let's pause that one. Now, Harvest Hope there is sending a different message, setting the scene and actually asking for your help, showing you the number of people that they are serving, how they're doing it, and using one of their volunteers, their board chairman, to do it. Now that I know we shot. So that was professionally shot by Taylor Kearns, who's on our team, and edited together. But you know, it wasn't highly produced. They just went and interviewed Erin as she was volunteering out there. She's a banker by trade. And then put that piece together and shared it on social media. So there was some minimal cost with that because that was professionally shot, but the Luck Stone video, not so much the case. I'm gonna stop sharing so we can talk through these a little bit more. Because what I thought might be helpful, and I talked to Taylor, because I thought about having Taylor Kearns, our videographer, he's won an Emmy, he's a great guy, join us today. And he's actually on a video shoot in Raleigh at one of my clients. And so I couldn't actually have him stop that because it is healthcare related. But I asked him, Taylor, you know, what if somebody wanted to create a video for online use or website use or YouTube use, and they only had their iPhone? You know, what could they do? And he said, Heather, here are the 3 most important things. He said, number 1, hold your iPhone horizontal. Now, if you think about the Luck video, a lot of those people did this, and maybe Luck wanted it that way. But I see a lot of times people do this on social media when really they need to be doing this. Now, I'm bad about holding it with one hand, and Taylor reminded me, tell everyone to hold it with 2 hands. You'll be a lot more steady. And then do you see this big window here over my shoulder? That, if I got closer to that, my skin hue would start to turn blue. And if it got behind me, then I would be backlit and the lighting would be terrible. And, you know, after over a decade in television news, I can attest that good lighting can make you look like a movie star and bad lighting like a heroin addict. And so you want to be sensitive to your lighting. And then I just might encourage you to try to keep it brief. It's easy to ramble. And so what I want you to do, if you do this, is to hold it horizontal, pay attention to your light, hold it with 2 hands, and speak from the heart. Practice a couple of times and then watch it. And then redo it and watch it. And try to keep it at a minute if you can, or just over. If you're familiar with watching video that have ads embedded in them, and you can't wait until you can press the skip button, that's about 6 seconds. And so if that feels like a long time to you, imagine what a minute is going to feel like to people. And so you want them to watch to the end because hopefully you have a strong ending to your video. And so I just encourage you to try to keep it to a minute. Now, you can shoot something like that and just speak from the heart and post it. But let's say you wanted to edit something together like you saw with Lux Stone or even with Harvest Hope. That's going to take some editing software. And if you have questions about how to do that, you can contact Casey or myself offline and we can tell you what we use. And we can also provide some editing assistance at a greatly reduced rate for people who participate in these coaching sessions, because our goal is to just help you get started. And once you see the value of it, I think you'll continue. Casey's helping me serve this healthcare related client in Raleigh, in the Raleigh area. We have a couple of facilities. And so recently we have jumped into their social media platforms. And we did their first monthly report at the end of the month. I see Casey smiling because she knows what I'm going to say. That video was king. I mean, without question. And Casey, if you want to talk a little bit about, without giving away the client's name, what you saw.
Yeah, so Taylor and I, who Heather mentioned earlier, went up to the area, Raleigh, and took a lot of video with the client, and then we were able to use that to develop certain hotspots. How are they involved in the community? How are they giving back? What does it actually look like inside their facility with their employees? Because people connect with people, and like Heather said, video is important. Images are important. Right now, I'm actually getting my master's degree, and last night I was looking at some research, 150% more improvement on all posts that have some type of video or image. So it's vital that you have that. And it's very simple. As Heather said, you can just turn your phone sideways, get the image that way, and then you can repurpose it. You can take photos of just your people sitting at a desk or from outside of the building, whatever it may be, and think and ask yourself, whenever you're scrolling through social media, what makes you stop? What makes you stop scrolling and engage? It's going to be the same outcome for your clients or whoever you're trying to target and get engagement with.
Case, thank you. That was, that's great to know. You were researching last night and that's what you found. And you know, these videos don't have to be serious. They can be lighthearted. I mean, all of us need a little bit of sunshine, as Myrtle Beach Chamber has been spreading with their video. And I, you know, before we got on here, I'll admit to it, but on Instagram, I just look at Chunk the groundhog every morning. And so what happened is this man had a garden and something kept eating it. And so he set up a game camera, and it turned out to be this like big fat groundhog who likes to see himself in the reflection of the video camera. And so he eats in front of it every morning out of the guy's garden. And so, you know, 10 seconds of that, and it's just pure joy, enjoyment. So your videos don't have to be asking for money, sharing a serious message. They really can be, hey, this is what it looks like inside of our facility, as Casey said, or, you know, we miss you. You know, our hallways are empty. You know, we miss our teammates. We miss you. We can't wait for this to all be over, but we just encourage you to press on. Has anybody seen this week, down at the bottom of your toolbar, I think there's a little place where you can raise your hand and ask a question. If you've seen any videos this week that you would be willing to share or tell us about, just make sure that you hit, you know, chat or Q&A or anything like that. And we'll be sure to answer any of your questions. I see some, yes, Rose, we're muted, except you probably saw my husband walk in. All right, well, I'm going to continue going, and we are going to share a screen now and give you a to-do list for this week. It's not hard, but it's baby steps. 1 second again. Okay. That to-do list again, the highlights are to reach in, to reach out, to retool, and to reinforce by giving back. So what should that look like this week? To reach in. I want you to consider directly connecting with 3 stakeholders. Think about who they are, write their names down on a piece of paper, and reach out to them. Call them directly, email them directly, message them directly, but make sure it's a direct and not some sort of group blast. And now, what do I mean by key stakeholder? So a stakeholder in our world might be what you would call an influencer or someone who is important to your organization or your business. That could be a customer, that could be an employee, that could be a key supplier, your landlord, someone like that. And I want you to speak from your heart. This is simple stuff, but in the busyness of time, we can often overlook this. And so I just want you to ask people, hey, I'm just calling to see how you're doing. That's it, nothing more. Ask how you can help. Can I do anything to help? And I want you to keep this list, this running list of who you've intentionally contacted, and I want you to watch it grow. Since this virus has struck, I remember the first time we got a call like that. It came in, my husband, he used to be elected, and so someone from that other county where we lived called and just said, hey, you know, I was just thinking about you and just thought I'd call and check in. And after Jim hung up, I said, who was that? And he told me, and I said, well, why'd they call? And, you know, he kind of looked perplexed. He said, you know, just to check in and see how I was doing. And I thought, man, like, that is one of the beauties of this crisis, is that we are pausing to think about people and to take the extra effort just to step out and see how everyone's doing. So you'll see the Mark Twain quote there that I like so much. Kindness is the language which the deaf can hear and the blind can see. So I want you to reach in to key stakeholders. Those are people really important to your organization or your company, and to connect with them. Just 3. Now to reach out, I want you to get outside of your comfort zone to connect with others, okay? Do something that you haven't done before. Maybe start a weekly call. Get some of your neighbors, neighboring businesses, maybe industry peers together. Email them and say, hey, can we get on a 15-minute call just to see how everybody's doing, or to share ideas? Maybe do a Zoom meeting like this. Maybe launch your own video effort. Leverage social media, whatever you do, in a greater way. We are all, not all of us, many of us are at home. We are hungry for information. We are surfing the internet like never before. Just caution you, don't focus on self or sales, right? So be externally focused, encourage, maybe give people a viewpoint of what it looks like inside of your company, but don't say, buy my widgets. Don't do that. I just was surfing LinkedIn before we started, and I saw where the CEO of Spanx is giving away $5 million to female entrepreneurs. And so I quickly tagged Rashonda Pratt, who's a woman in Columbia. She used to work in TV with us because she started her own business. And so, you know, leverage social media in a greater way. Again, just don't focus on self or sales. Now, what did we do last week to kind of get out of the box? We launched this new digital ad on some email blasts that are going out from news organizations across the state, and it's just with the message to be strong and courageous. That's it. Because enduring does take strength, right? We're all kind of getting tired of being at home. How long is this going to last? The economic impact of it is becoming even more real, and it takes courage to face that. And so that, for us, was one way that we're going to try to connect with others. So you're going to reach in, you're going to reach out, get out of your comfort zone, try something new. Maybe really truly try videoing someone or yourself and posting that. All right. A couple examples that we shared last week. Our graphics artists that we have on staff threw these together. Just again, simple Facebook messages to say, hey, we miss you. And it doesn't have to be tourism focused, but when doing this for Myrtle Beach area, you know, you do see you're the biggest tourism engine in our state. But that we're preparing for you. And that could be just putting out a vase of flowers, putting out this vase of flowers, thinking about you, wishing that you were here. Retool. We talked about last week considering how to adapt to the new normal, because there is going to be a new normal. Just like with 9/11, when TSA came into existence and we all traveled differently, there will be a new normal. So how are we going to adapt? How is your company going to adapt? brainstorm with your team, use some of this downtime, take an online course. You hear Casey saying that she's getting her master's, but you know, really I could probably use another course in Excel. Those formulas are just be the death of me one day. Look for new partnerships. Who could you align with right now? I mean, you're the people who are the best are going to rise to the top through all of this. So eyeball them and see if you can align with them. And then pick up what you've been putting off. Have you really needed to audit your website or overhaul your website or work on a piece of collateral? Or what about your customer list? Maybe it needs to be updated. Take this time to retool. We're doing a couple of things to retool. And they're probably more on the edge of innovation than retooling, but Kara Gormley Metter, one of our team members who works out of the Columbia office, said, hey, I just really think we need to encourage people. So you'll see her, she's there in the blue. She said, let's launch this social media page on all platforms called Encouraging the Carolinas. And we're just going to share and tell good news. And she launched it, the guy with her to her left, our right, is a weatherman from the CBS affiliate, and they got together and called a weatherman from the NBC affiliate who's in a retirement home now and surprised him. And they just had a hoot talking back and forth and trying to encourage the one who's in the retirement home. And so if you look on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, I see Casey nodding. Casey, if you want to say something, let me know. But Casey keeps that updated, but you can hashtag or you can tag Encouraging the Carolinas, and that just is a place to share some good news. We have right now about 800 followers, and we're just sort of doing this in our free time. And so I'm proud of the team. I think it's a great idea. I think it's got a lot of potential though, so we're going to continue to press on with that. The other thing we're doing took a bit more time. But we are going to launch this week the Buzz with Bernie. Now, Bernie his photo is there, and you can see that he's also being interviewed or in front of the microphone. But Bernie Maybank is a two-time South Carolina Department of Revenue director, and he's a tax lawyer with a heavy emphasis on economic development. And so it has been one of my heart passions to launch an economic development podcast. And I had intended to do this later in May because there's a big economic development meeting. And last Sunday, I was like, guys, we're doing this like next week, like this week, we're doing it. We're just going to do it. And so we scrambled together. We had the equipment already, and Kara is co-hosting with Bernie. And they interviewed a number of really fascinating people. They interviewed Lou Kennedy from Nephron, and her company is producing some of the medicines that are used in the fight of COVID-19. They interviewed the current and the incoming president of SCEDA, that's the South Carolina Economic Developers Association, in another podcast. Let's see, they interviewed James Chavez, who's head of the South Carolina Power Team. They interviewed Jonathan Yarborough with Dominion Energy. And so we got 4 of them recorded and in the can, and we're going to launch that this week. And we wouldn't have been able to do that if we had a full plate right now, but we don't. And so we're using this downtime to retool. Then the last of the 4 is to reinforce by giving back. So I want you to, I encourage you to choose one community organization this week to volunteer some time, to donate, even if you feel like I don't have anything to donate. Most of us are blessed enough to have something to donate, or just merely to encourage, to choose one and to be externally focused where you message Harvest Hope Food Bank or someone like that and say, I know what you're doing. I know it's not easy. We're here behind you. When I can donate, I'm going to, but keep up the good work. After a decade in TV, I can tell you that our nature is to complain mostly and not share good news. The number of good news calls we got were so few and far between. And so it'd be great just to call someone and say, job well done. Again, I also encourage you to encourage other people to join us. We're going to take questions here in a minute and just answer anything that you have to ask or talk about tactics. If we don't have an answer, we'll get back with you, and we will also bring it up next week when we do our next podcast. It's free and easy to join, and we'll look for your ideas. So I'm gonna move ahead to questions, and I think for this ease of it, I'm gonna stop sharing this screen. So I can't see the toolbar until I do that. Does anybody have any questions or anything that they'd like us to tell you what we've seen from our other clients and what they're doing, or any best practices or anything?
So Kara actually is on the call, Heather, and she
Good thing
said
I didn't say anything bad about you, Kara.
she said one thing that she's learned from you is that you just have to do it. You have to try it. You have to take a leap. And I think that that's very true. That's something I've learned from you and at NPS is you can't just stick to the norm. Sometimes whenever you don't know what's going to happen, you just have to try it. And so I don't know if you want to maybe talk on that about why you decided to just go forth with the Encouraging the Carolinas or the podcast or us to do these different things.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm blessed that I have good teammates that I know will execute things with a spirit of excellence, which is what I talk about on our team. Let's try to do everything with a spirit of excellence. We're not perfect people, but let's try. The other thing is I'm old enough that I'm not scared to fail because I've failed enough. And so I think a lot of times we're concerned that, you know, oh, maybe I shouldn't, maybe I'll look bad, maybe it'll be a flop. And you know what? You never hit a home run if you're not up to bat. And so that's why I just said, hey, let's do it. Let's seize the moment. And serving Harvest Hope has taught me a lot about dealing with disasters, because every time there's a hurricane, you know, they coordinate all the food banks in the state. And so I have learned with them that we need to be out of the gate first. And so it might be that people really aren't thinking about the hurricane, but I said, we've talked about, let's start preparing now and telling people we're preparing now, even if they think, oh, that's ridiculous, it's too early. I said, because if we get out of the gate first, then they're going to know we're serious about this. And so I encourage you to take some risks right now, not probably financial risks, okay? But try some new things. And if they fail, it's okay. You know, again, if you played any sports, every time you took a shot, you didn't sink the ball. So, but if you do nothing, you know, it's going to be hard to make it through this crisis and retain your current position, I think.
And then Charles said, this is a great topic and series. Thank you for sharing your thoughts on this.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Charles. And, you know, if you or anybody else has ideas that you'd like us to talk about, we will do that in the next 3. I had brainstormed or just thought about a list of things. One of them might be media relations. How do you pitch a story with and get through all the COVID information if you have something that's newsworthy, more newsworthy, or as newsworthy than COVID right now? Maybe it's how do you baby step and start a crisis response team? We write a lot of crisis communication plans. And so what are some baby steps that you can take on your own to do this? We're open to a number of things. Social media, just because it's so important now. And I'm of the age where it is, you know, hard for me. I have to constantly ask Casey, like, what, you know, how do I see this or whatever. And so if you're of my generation, we can get some of the younger people to talk about social media a little bit, and that the different platforms reach different people. For example, we're owned by a 200 lawyer law firm. The board chair is on Instagram, and that's it. Now, I just would not have guessed that. But when I, started looking at the stats, like, okay, that's starting to make sense, right? At first I thought it was like Pinterest, but it's not. And he posts his he skateboards. And so he posts his skateboarding photos, etc. on there often. And so we can talk a little bit about that if you guys would like over one of the next 3 weeks. But we will be here. Oh, it's 11 o'clock. We will be here and available to you. So follow up at any time. invite people to join next Monday. And again, I just encourage you to be strong and very courageous over the next 2 weeks. We've got to get to the end of April. And my hope is that that's when we're going to turn that corner and see the finish line. And you're going to get just a burst of energy and run strong through the finish. But together, we need to pull together and press on for the next couple of weeks. So I wish you the best, and I hope to see you next week, same time, same place, same living room. Bye.
Bye, everyone.